Okay, now I'm recording. Good morning. Good morning, Lynn. Lynn just joined us too. Good morning. And Cynthia said her accountant took 17 business days. Not impressed. Yeah, I know, eh? This time, I guess, like everybody dumps on them in April. And we were just talking about taxes, which we missed on the recording, but it doesn't matter. So it's Monday and it's cold like hell out there, or cold like heaven out there. Um, so before we went live, we were chatting about something that's really important to talk about. And again, we were in sync on because we never pre-rehearse what we're going to talk about. We never know until we get on here. Sometimes we talk about 2 minutes before and go, da, 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 da. Maybe this is what we're going to talk about. And I was going to bring up Conversations with God, which is an amazing book. It's actually a trilogy. There's book 1, 2, and 3. And in this one, Neil Walsh, he's the scriber, if you will, and he has this conversation with God. But right in the beginning pages, he talks about, or God affirms that God is really just your imagination. God, because Neil says, well, how do I know that this is you and not my imagination? And God says, well, of course it's your imagination because that's how you speak. That's how you create. It is your imagination. So really cool context, this whole book. I read it the first time 20 years ago. I've read it several times since, but something pulled me recently to reread it. And I'm really glad I did because it really is about listening to your inner authority. And, especially when we're in our 50s and we've got this lack of clarity and we're thinking maybe changing careers. Do I retire early? Do I not? We tend to look outside of ourselves and we're chasing everybody. We're hiring other people to make decisions for us. Now, it's good to hire people if they're helping to guide you to your inner authority, but not, don't hire people to tell you what to do. And I think we've fallen kind of victim to that we are so accustomed to hiring somebody to fix it for us. Hire the plumber and hire the contractor, hire the mind reader, tell me what to do. That we forget that we actually know what to do inside when we can just like quiet our brain. So you were talking about an amazing conversation too, or situations that you've been encountering, which plays off that.
Yeah, I was on the phone this morning at 6 a.m. With a friend of mine whom I hadn't spoken to for a year, but we met each other 2 years ago. We were part of the Bob Proctor Circle. Her name is Holly Wheeler, and a fabulous lady. And we were talking, and she came back because I said, "Where have you been? Like for the last many months, she has just disappeared." And she goes, I said, "Did you remove yourself from the noise and now you're
Yeah,
home? Now you're like you know what you stand for and everything." Because she like all of us have been trapped in that insanity loop, right?
yeah,
Of
great term.
information overload.
Yeah,
And she's like, "Yeah, because and we were talking about depression, and we just got into this hour and a half or hour and so talk, and she goes, "Geez, I felt like I just spoke to you yesterday." But she said something so powerful, and I think we really have to anchor in this as women who have gone through life and have a lot of information in our system and how to really
yeah,
process it. But she says, Susan, she went through a shamanic journey of of self discoveries, and
nice.
she went right into the spiritual world, and she goes, "I was home. I found home." You know,
Wow, what a beautiful way
and
to say it.
and the part of the journey that she went through was when she said, and I totally believe this, by the way, she said, "I jumped into ice cold water, and that's all it took." And
Wow.
that's when I found home. And I asked her if she heard about Wim Hof, because
Wim
Wim
Hof, yeah,
Hof,
I was
yeah,
just going to mention Wim Hof as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
So Wim
he's
Hof
awesome.
takes people through the journey of facing their demons, right?
Right,
And
right.
facing your fears. And by doing that in cold water, because what happens, your initial thought is, "Oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm dying. There's a lot of pain." And you just want to jump, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he forces you through the mindset of finding comfort in your most uncomfortable states.
Right.
And so she didn't tie the two together. And I said, yeah, that's what Wim Hof does. It's powerful how ice water forces us to actually really see what's going on inside, because there's no distraction. You can't go on YouTube and find the answer
Yeah,
on how to get
yeah.
out of that pain.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what
Exactly.
she did for months. She stayed within this group and all these women got together and rallied to help each other just stay anchored
Wow.
in the world of nothing, in
Wow.
the
That's
world of
beautiful.
nothing, right? And so that's how she found home.
Oh,
I said,
that's
gee,
beautiful.
it it really is. Home is
Yeah.
not on YouTube, right?
No.
And what information technology does is it gets us to distract ourselves from the pain.
Oh, yeah. So true. Oh my God. So true. As does Netflix and, right, and TV. And it's just a form of numbing. And many, many people and I would say many, many women, because we're exhausted, been on output for 50 years, that if we don't have some guidance as to where to find our inner authority or our inner beingness, we do just kind of numb ourselves out. I know a lot of women numbing out. Now, Cynthia had made a comment saying usually by the time we're in our 50s, we do decide for ourselves and not depend on other people. I would agree with there's a portion of people, but that's probably a small percentage of people that are carrying out that decision making, that they do rely on themselves. The women that I've been encountering, they're so lost and so they're just floundering. So they're looking outside themselves for guidance. So finding a group like that, I think that is so key, Susan.
Yeah.
It really is, a group of people that support you and that you trust, like that is so, that's so at the heart of it.
I would love to do a talk one day soon, actually, on what the meaning of connection is.
Mm,
Because, and I go through this with Kevin, my husband, because he declares himself a loner, and he really is. Like, he could live in the woods by himself with no people around, and he'd be happy. But in essence, no,
right,
it's his way of just being comfortable with himself, but it's not comfortable with himself. It's not accepting the outside world,
right.
right?
There's a difference there. It's very
There
subtle,
is
but
a
it's
huge
there.
difference. The
Yeah,
most evolved conscious beings can be amongst the world and be such a role model and a change maker by just being, right? And it's not about sharing in words what something means. It's
right,
how do you live it? How do
right.
you live? And what is connection? Because you know what? Not a lot of people really live connection.
You're
They
right.
live in addiction because it's keeping them surviving, but it's not connection.
Mm,
And if we know the distinction and the difference between them, then we really are living and contributing to the higher consciousness of the world.
right. And that is so important. The more of us that elevate to that level, and we just keep elevating, it brings up the masses just through attrition, just through energetic attrition. It just naturally will follow.
Yeah.
So Holly, that's bravo for Holly. I think I met, is it possible I met her? Did she write a book?
No, not
Okay.
yet, but I'm
Not
sure
yet.
she will.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Holly Wheeler. And what she does is she's a runner and she created running groups, but she does more trail running. And
Oh,
she wants to create these retreats to help women just be amongst nature
yeah.
and to really reconnect themselves to nature, because that's where truth is.
Yeah.
That's where truth is. When you're taking your walk in the woods, you're not trying to be pretentious. You are being.
Yeah,
You,
and then you're just being exactly. This morning I went through the walk in the woods and I saw a bunny rabbit hopping off into the woods and the different birds and it's always my happy place and that's really where I connect and I'll talk to my parents who have crossed over and died years ago, my brother, and it's good morning, and I just kind of see them everywhere in nature and I feel that connection and it's just such a beautiful way to sort of start your day and ground in God in conversations with God, he talks a lot about that too, right at the beginning. I'm saying it isn't it, God. Yeah, unfortunately, we have this image in our head. We've assigned a gender to the father, and just like Mother Earth is the female, but it isn't it. Anyway, the energy is talking about how we're not here. It's not Earth school. There's no lessons to learn. We are here to remember because our soul already knows everything because we're already little micros of the macro. We are the drops of the ocean, as Rumi says, right? So it's to remember what we're here for, and that is found in the nothingness. And the contrast was created so that we would know that. So the here and the there, or what's in between, is the nothingness. So to sit in that nothingness, instead of in the triad of what we've created in past, present, future. Um, yeah, it's anyway, it's really interesting to get your head around that and just realize it's all about being and not about doing.
Yeah.
And so, who are you being today? And that's a great intention to start each day with. Who do you want to be? You want to
Yeah.
be kind? You want to be more compassionate? Yeah, like all the beingness, right?
Well, you know what I was also saying there, it's incredible because I was saying we're never wrong. We're never wrong, right?
Right.
If we choose to go against ourselves, we're not wrong. We're doing it. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with what we're doing. What's wrong is the refusal to be better, to change what you're suffering from. But our being is never wrong. The
Right on.
mistake we've
Yeah.
made is never wrong. You know, I paid a lot of money to stay within these thought leadership circles, not because I thought they had the answer for me, because I wanted to intimately understand what happens to our soul when we are
Mm.
getting brainwashed, right?
Mm.
So I purposely put myself through that experience of allowing myself to be brainwashed and lied to and whatever, and to be taken away from my truth, just to see what happens on the
Mm.
most minute levels of our soul, in our
Mm.
thoughts, in our heart. And only through taking myself through that dark place can I really understand what everybody's really suffering from. And so that's the only time I can be compassionate. If I never allow myself to go down that road, I can never stand here and tell you I know what you're going through.
Exactly. Exactly. It's so important. Yeah, to go through it experientially, because
Yes.
you can't read about it in a book. And again, that's really what we're all here to do at a soul level, is to experience everything there is to experience. So there is, what we have to do is take the judgment out, because stop judging everything as good or bad, because there is no good or bad. It's all here to experience, right?
And the
Yeah.
fact that we're all sitting together talking about it makes all that journey so much more
Yeah,
powerful, and
sure does.
gratitude to that, because we have this togetherness now where we're going to take it to the next levels. Oh, by the way, I just want to highlight today, Crystal Robinson, her launch day is today,
Hey, Crystal, and she just popped on, saying two of my favorites. Good morning, Crystal.
April 26th.
Yay! Oh my
Her
God, launch
life,
day of her
her
book.
life story is really getting out today. And
Awesome.
talk about personal truth. Hold on, I gotta highlight this crazy, incredible woman, Crystal. Every time, and yesterday we were laughing about it, every time we talk, and I said to her yesterday, be careful what she and I talk about, because every time we talk, it happens. Like literally.
Oh, power.
So, and
Power
you
of the
don't ever,
word.
yeah, even though it happens continuously, every time we say it's like, I cannot happen. But then
Boom.
last night she calls me, it's like, oh my gosh, there's an opportunity just popped up. And I'm like, we just talked about that this afternoon. And I even said to her, we even laughed and like, watch this, Crystal, it's gonna happen. We just said it.
Yeah.
Be careful what we say. And then that evening, the reason why that happens, the reason why every time Crystal and I say something and it happens, so we have to choose what we say, right?
Yes.
It's because we are both so damned frighteningly anchored in our truth.
Mm,
It's not even funny. Uh, we are die-hard truth seekers,
nice.
right? We just want to connect with others who are also not fearful of their truth. And so, because you stand in that truth, everything you think is matched with how you feel, and it happens. You know,
And
that's
that's
the most
that's that's
beautiful
how
life to live.
that's how manifestation happens.
That's what
Yeah,
manifestation
yeah,
is.
that is the word. Absolutely. That's why affirmations are so important. Setting intentions are so important. But to manifest anything, the law of attraction is all about, like you say it, you feel it, and when they're aligned, which often they're not, right? Because often maybe we're saying, "Oh, please, universe," or the affirmation is, "I am rich," but your feeling is, "Oh my God, I'm so broke, I can't even pay that bill." Right? Well, you're out of line. Or, "Oh, please, I am receiving my soulmate," and inside you're like, "Oh, I'm not worthy of love." Like it's not going to happen. Then people will question, well, why isn't the law of attraction not working? Well, it's always working. It's a freaking law. It's like, it's like the law of gravity. You can't not, hit the ground when you drop something. But it's just, what are you attracting? And there's often a lot of confusion if it's not aligned. So you guys, when you're talking, and then of course the power of two or more gather, like that's like amplifies to the universe, right? And into the ethers. It's like, bring it to me. So within a few hours, boom, it's manifested.
It's manifest. And this has happened
Unbelievable.
several times to the point where Crystal is a believer, but she's not until she is, you know? And so it's true. Like in her heart, she's so powerful as a being and she's meant to be on this earth to do something massive. But when the knowing doesn't always translate to the believing,
Yeah,
right?
that's for sure. Yeah,
Especially when you were born into a life where everything is so hard and everything is
yeah,
so not easy. But then that knowing always comes back because of the fact that the only way faith is really built is through creating these examples of tricking yourself. It's like, oh, I don't believe it, but I want to believe. I don't want to be. But then you start seeing the gifts. Don't ignore
hmm,
the gifts. That's what gratitude is grateful for. Somebody was saying, oh, it was Darlene Whitehurst, who is on a plane on her way to Oklahoma right now because
oh,
she's going to go support Crystal at the
oh,
Crystal is the Oklahoma Hall of Fame alumni. So they are having their induction ceremony this evening.
wow.
And so Crystal now has a whole tribe there behind her, supporting her and
Oh,
elevating
I
her.
just got goosebumps. Oh, Crystal, how bravo it's going to be. I'm about two-thirds of the way into your book, your back, your whole backstory of how you started. So here, Crystal is an Oklahoma girl, and when she was in grade 3, she was already playing with grade sixers. Like her talent for basketball and baseball are just, I think, unprecedented by anybody going. It's just an incredible story, and just your humble beginnings, very poor. Yeah, you express it well in your story, I must say.
You know,
So,
it's really crazy because I appreciate people that call me out. I really do. And sometimes I put it out there just as a joke, like call me out. Let's just laugh about this. Because I said to Crystal, this is how honest she is, but with such love and truth. And when truth is delivered with love, you accept it no matter how
yeah,
painful and
yeah.
ugly it might be.
Mm.
So I said to her last year, because she's a powerful leader, a coach, a player, everything, you name it. And I said, you know what? If you're that good of a coach and you are that good of a leader, then I will allow myself to be coachable for basketball and you can make me the greatest basketball player. Like this will be like the greatest challenge that you'll ever achieve, right? I'll put myself out there, right? I'll take off my heels. I'll go in that, I'll go in that court.
And what she say? No.
No, well, the way she said it made me laugh, and my husband laughed nervously because he's like, "Oh my god, it was so mean, but yes, so truthful, but so right." And she said, "Susan, I'm not a miracle worker."
Yeah. She knows her limits.
And I'm like, "Did you
Oh,
just
like what?
insult me?" Like, yeah, I'm not a miracle worker. I'm not that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Exactly.
I'm like, you mean it requires a miracle for me to become a basketball player? Is that what
Yeah.
you're telling me? And it really is so true, though. I wasn't insulted. We were having such a good laugh because in my heart of all hearts, I will never become and I could say this, I
Yeah.
will never be that. That is my limitation. You know why? Because I don't want it.
You don't want it exactly. So it's not, it's a self-imposed limitation. So it's not even really a limitation when you just don't want it. It's like, no, thanks. I'd rather not.
Like if
Just
I
rather
choose
not.
between my heels and
Yeah.
running shoes to go on the court, I'm like, yeah, no, it's okay. I'll just
No.
stay. I'll just be a cheerleader. How about that? Just give me some pom poms. I'll do a lot better.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. I could see you being a pom pom girl. Yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
with you on the sides going, go, Crystal, go. Yeah, go, team, go.
yeah. So truth is so like I am so grateful for people like that
Yeah,
that really are there to tell the truth no matter what. They're not here to sugarcoat like, oh, Susan, you could be a great basketball player if you wanted to. It's like, yeah, I know that already. You don't have to sugarcoat it. Yes, it will take a freaking miracle.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Seeking a miracle worker out there.
You know what truth does that really sets that so as the most important thing that we have to live by is because by her telling me that dead truth, and I have so many people around me that do this, and I so appreciate it. By her telling me that dead truth, it stopped me in my tracks from even trying to become something I'm not.
Right. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, even trying to even entertain, trying to be something that I don't even want to be.
That's it.
So that's what the gift of truth is.
Yeah.
Stop somebody in their tracks of going into that wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So a good coach, whether it's a life coach, a love coach, anybody coaching you, it's to bring that out. It's to bring out your inner truth and not dictate to you. Like, so if somebody, if a good coach comes up to you and says, "So Susan, I'm going to make you the best basketball player," it's like, no, your inner authority, your inner truth is already saying, no, no. And a lot of coaches, they'll try and push that. Business coaches, there's another, they'll just try and push, do it this way, follow this model, build you got to build the funnel, you got to do the marketing, you got to have the plan. It's like, no, I don't want to, thanks. So it's to find, right? To find that person. Excuse me, I keep losing my voice. Mm,
It's really important to realize this. And I think from the standpoint of all that noise of people trying to tell you what's right for you, you
yeah.
know? And I've realized something out there in that most of the time, what we say we want to do, we don't even want to do. Right.
Mm,
So, and then we're told by everybody, by a lot of these people out there that are considered experts that
right.
don't know the minute distinctions between what is happening within the truth of that person, is we start saying, well, you just have to grind through it. You just have to take
Yeah.
action.
Right.
And we don't know how to, because if I tell you to do something that will help you in what you're telling me you need, right? And you don't do it, my next question is, do you really want it? Let's just pull
Exactly.
back a second,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of
Yeah.
these coaches are going to say it's your limiting belief that you have to break through. But there is a big difference between limiting belief
Yeah.
and your standards and your values of how you want to operate.
Right. Right. And that there is, I think, the trickiest area to to discern.
Yeah.
Is it fear, or is it really that I don't want it?
Yes.
Right. So discernment is like so at the crux of everything that we do, and that's not something that we have spent a lot of time being trained on or trained ourselves how to do, because we're always looking at our outside authorities, our teachers, our parents. They're all telling us what to do. Our boss tells us what to do. Like, and then your husband wants to try and tell you what to do. And so you've got, right,
Yeah,
all
because
these,
we're attracting that. Because
so
we're attracting that, because
yeah.
we're attracting being questioned so that we keep thinking about what we want. But nobody says that, right? But that is what's happening. So when you don't own what you want, you will attract all these people that will question you,
And
that
that's,
will doubt you, that will make you doubt yourself.
yeah.
But it's not to hurt you. You are attracting that so that you keep questioning. But it's not always a limiting belief.
Right, right. Yeah. And that's key. So to help people with that, would you have an exercise that would help them with something like that?
When you hit friction points, which is I'm stuck,
Yeah,
right? When you hit friction points and you're stuck, ask yourself, do you really want it?
yeah. So
Do
what
you
I
really
do
want
too, what I find automatic writing for me, and this recently came back up for me as well. But over the many, many years, I'll do automatic writing where I put the question down on paper. I find for me that works because then now it's my pen. I'm getting out of my head a little bit more, and I'll put the question on the paper. And it's better handwritten than typed, because there's just something about, I don't know, brain to hand to paper. And I'll write out my questions, and it may take a while. It may take a while because you might still be stuck in monkey mind a little bit. Now you're analyzing the answer. It's like, no, get out of your head, get into your heart. What is your heart? What's the next answer? And then what? And then what? And you can chase those questions too. And so what? And so what? Oh, I'm afraid, if I lose my job, so what? Well, then I might lose my house. So what? Well, I might be living on the street. So what? And just keep going and going. And then before you know it, right, you may have some of these amazing answers and that you hadn't thought about. And then the fear is gone, the unknowns are gone, and you start getting more discerning, you can start getting more clarity. And that is so key.
I have it's funny, I have so always if you're hitting friction point, you know whether you don't want it, and then go into the road of, well, why don't I want it? Hold on, let's think about this.
Mm,
Not everybody wants to make $1 million a year.
right,
And nor
exactly.
should we force each other to try to be that,
Right,
you know?
exactly.
So, but I have a very
Yeah.
powerful story that I found out very recently. A very good girlfriend of mine that I only met very recently told me that she was in jail for a year, right?
Oh,
And it's white collar though, because she comes from a very well-to-do background. So, and she told me what happened in jail because, and I'm like, oh my God, I would never survive in jail. I swear to God, I would
yeah,
eat
sounds scary to me too.
because I'm so, but she's one of those bubble people that just walk around in a bubble. And you know what? I'd probably be like her too, to the point where she went head on against a kingpin woman in the jail, where this woman kills people in jail for pissing
Yeah,
her
yeah.
off. But for whatever reason, she didn't kill my friend. And my friend, after, was told by somebody else in the jail, do you know what you're doing? Are you just stupid? Or are you that freaking, are you that brave? Are you just that stupid or are you that brave? She's like, what do you mean? I don't know what you mean, right? Like, who is she? Like,
Yeah, who's she? She's not gonna tell me what to do.
she doesn't, my friend doesn't know what happens in jail. She doesn't come from that environment.
Oh my God.
The less we know, the
Yeah,
better it is. What you
yeah,
don't know won't hurt you. And
yeah,
that's what happens. And that's how I live through my life. I don't read. I really don't fucking
yeah,
read,
yeah.
right? Because to me, it's like if I'm reading, I'm creating my outcomes based on somebody else's way, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So same thing as my friend when she was in jail. She doesn't know all the jail stories. She doesn't know that there are killers in there.
Yeah, really. And that they usually want to make you their bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like,
she
oh my
did not get raped. I like honestly, like
oh my gosh.
she went up against everything, and that person didn't hurt her because that person saw that she was living in her truth.
Yeah,
She's not trying to be antagonistic.
that's
So
right.
therefore, you will never attract the battle.
Yeah.
If you stand in your truth, you will be respected. Even though this kingpin thought, she's just too stupid. I can't go and beat up a stupid person.
Yeah, and she probably had an element of respect for her too, right? Yeah, because I'm not nobody
Yes.
would stand up to her. So the
Yes.
people, yeah, the people that do stand in their truth are respected by everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true. That's a really key point, and that's a good point to end on. Actually, we're already at 8:29. I can't believe it. Something I did meant to mention before we even went on the call, Susan, is on Wednesday, we have to take our son for COVID testing because he's getting operated on Friday. He's having his meniscus and his ACL
Ooh.
operated on. So we have to be at the hospital around between like 8 and 9. So I don't know if we won't be on here on Wednesday. We're gonna miss it unless we pop in maybe later in the day.
We could do
But
it on the oh no, I have my client. Oh no, we could do it on Thursday morning.
Thursday morning? Okay, so I'll take a quick look at my schedule too, but if it's a go, we'll be back on Thursday. Thanks to Suzanne and Crystal and Cynthia and Lynn for joining us and anybody else watching. This was a really good chat around really listening to your inner authority and listening to yourself. Get out of the noise and yeah, just know that you have the answers. And if you can find them through automatic reading, I mean writing, just asking yourself the questions and seeing what answers pop up, taking a walk in nature. Tonight is a full moon, and it's called a super moon, and it's actually going into Scorpio as of after midnight. So Scorpio is my sign, so it's going to be. So last night, I've been awake since 2 in the morning. I could not sleep last night. It was
I can.
wild.
I
Yeah, so sure it was the full moon, and I'm sure a lot of you listening, especially females, we've got so much water in our bodies. We're like the ocean. So I see a nap in my future. Excuse me. So back on Thursday, if all goes well. I think my schedule's good. And have a great day. And so here's to your week. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. And stop.